stop, and landing 13 left if that's available.
Papa Hotel Tango India Mike, Palm Springs Tower, squawk 6250.
6250.
Papa Hotel Tango India Mike, Palm Springs altimeter is 2985, radar contact about 10 miles west of the Palm Springs VOR. Presently landing runway 31, you're requesting straight in for 13.
That's available.
Ever departure Papa Hotel Tango India Mike, make straight in runway 13 left and clear to land. Wind is 0905.
Clear to land, runway 3 left, Papa Hotel Tango India Mike, thanks.
Palm Springs to plus 4658 is type PC final slam call request clearance to Vegas S file.
Plus 4658, Palm Springs clearance. Good afternoon. Unable to give you S file, and I'll be full route standby. Plus 4658 is cleared to the Las Vegas airport via Flight Cathedral 1 departure procedure to Palm Springs, Victor 370 to 29 Palms, Victor 538, Cresso, then Cresso 3 arrival. Maintain 7,000. Check flight level 2405 minutes after departure. Departure frequency 126.7, squawk 6316.
Plus 4658 is cleared to Vegas via Cathedral 1, Palm Springs, Victor 37029, Palms, Victor 538, Cresso 3. Initially climb 7 plus expected to direction 5, departure 167, squawk 6 switching side.
Plus 4658, free back is correct. Tango D Mike, taxi to the ramp via Echo and frequency.
Taxiing to the ramp via Echo, remaining on this frequency, Papa Hotel Tango India Mike.
Ontario Tower, Cessna 237 Charlie Alpha, approximately 4 miles to the west, inbound to land.
Number 237, Charlie Alpha, roger, inner left, traffic, left downwind, runway 26, left, report base.
Enter left downwind 26 left, we'll call you base 237 Charlie Alpha.
Charlie Tower United 242 on the visual for 20 right, returning for right base structure.
United 242, John Wayne Tower, runway 20 right, clear to land, wind 17023.
Clear to land, 20 right, land.
Here 520 Yankee Kilo, Palomar Tower, runway 24, clear to land, wind 210 at 1. Number 237, Charlie Alpha, runway 26 left, clear to land.
Left base land 7 Charlie Alpha.
Palm Springs ground plus 4658 is traffic to weather going for taxi.
Plus 4658, Palm Springs ground, runway 31 right, taxi via Echo and Bravo.
Trail right via Echo Bravo 465.
Riverside Tower, good morning, November 2903 Alpha with you on the island.
Number 2903 Alpha, Riverside Tower, good afternoon. Runway 9 clear both routes, report miss.
November 2903 Alpha, lower road, runway 9, next week over to
Palm Springs Tower plus 4658 ready to go trail right at Bravo.
Plus 4658, Palm Springs Tower, runway 31 right, clear for data.
Clear for takeoff trail right bus 465.
Here's our Yankee Kilo, rush taxi into the ramp via Alpha. Plus 4658, contact for departure.
Contact departure 465.
Cessna 7 Charlie Alpha is clearly active, taxi to the GA parking base.
Push 7 Charlie Alpha, and on this frequency taxi into the south ramp via Sierra.
Southbound via Sierra with you, 7 Charlie Alpha, thanks.
November 2903 Alpha going around.
Number 03 Alpha, confirm going around or going missed.
November 2903 Alpha going missing.
Number 03 Alpha, roger, execute the published missed approach procedure.
Flying public mid-road procedure, November 2903.
Piper 2903 Alpha, contact SoCal departure.
Contact departure, 03 Alpha.
Number 03 Alpha, departure frequency 135.4.
135.4 for departure, November 2903.
Ontario Tower, November 516 Delta Mike, inbound RLS 26 left. Or 516 Delta Mike, Ontario Tower. Good afternoon, Ontario. Wind is calm. Runway 26 left, clear to land. 26 left, clear to land, 6 Delta Mike. Ontario Tower, November 36. Friction 516 Delta Mike, clear via active uniform, taxiing to the south apron. Number 6 Delta Mike, roger, taxiing on south ramp via Sierra, remain on this frequency. Via Sierra on this frequency, 6 Delta.
Riverside Tower, outside route, November 2903 Alpha, in Alpha request taxi to transient parking.
Number 2903 Alpha Riverside ground in the future. Don't switch to the ground frequency unless you're told to do so. Should stay with tower, exiting the runway all the way to the whole short plane. Stay on this frequency for now, taxi to the ramp via Alpha.
Taxi to ramp via Alpha. Okay. But transient via Alpha.
Runway clear. Runway clearance. November 6th. Charlie Mike Cherokee. I would like to attempt the I-4 ratings then.
Cherry 76 Charlie Mike John clearance. Good evening. Good luck on the I-4 destination. Will be let's go Kilo Oscar X-ray Romeo.
That's Kilo Oscar X-ray Romeo. 16 Mike.
Yes, sir. Good luck.
I'm going to sign off and collect some information for this destination. I'll sign back in. Is that okay?
Absolutely. Just report when you're back with the I-4. And how long do you think it'll be? It's not going to be more than an hour, is it?
No. I have to file and get some charts and plates.
Wonderful. Yeah, I'll still be here, so it shouldn't be a problem. And we'll look for your flight plan to come through. I'll get your plans up.
Las Vegas Tower Plus 4658 visual 1 on right 4500.
Plus 4658 Las Vegas Tower, runway 19 right, clear to land, wind 1807.
Clear to land 1 on right 465.
Plus 658 exit right, taxi into the ramp via hotel. Remain on this frequency today.
Exit right, right via hotel, and frequency 58 465.
Around number 95 for Whiskey Alpha's Comanche PH4/Alpha. Taxi active VFR East departure with weather.
Calling Long Beach Ground, need you to verify your call sign, please.
Sorry about that. 916 Whiskey Alpha, November 916 Whiskey Alpha.
Comanche 9016 Whiskey Alpha, Long Beach Ground, roger. And just confirm VFR eastbound.
Eastbound and you're the east ramp just south of runway
Comanche 9016 Whiskey Alpha, roger. Runway 26 right, taxi into the ramp.
Okay, 25 right, 8 Kilo, 916 Whiskey Alpha. Long Beach Tower, November 916 Whiskey Alpha, holding short of 25 right, Kilo, ready for departure VFR east.
Number 916 Whiskey Alpha, Long Beach Tower, runway 25 right, clear for takeoff, right down with departure route.
Clear for takeoff 25 right, right down with departure 6 Whiskey Alpha.
Good day, Palm Springs, ground scanning double Delta, East Rim, India, close traffic, 31 right.
Papa Hotel Tango to Mike, Palm Springs, ground, say again, aircraft type.
Gray Cessna scan.
Skyline Tango to Mike, thank you, runway 31 right, taxi via Echo and Bravo.
Echo and Bravo, 31 right, double Delta.
We're 791 Juliet, Torrance ground left clear.
Okay, Sky 700, we see there's no clearance delivery with this field, so would we get our departure instructions with tower or with ground?
Always go with the lowest, so we'll start with ground, just say your intentions.
Okay, Sky 791 Juliet, type Cessna 172 on the south anchors with the numbers requesting VFR advisories to
Number 791 Juliet, roger, departure frequency 134.9er, squawk 2061.
1249 was 2061.
Got 91 Juliet, read back is correct, are you ready to taxi now?
In a couple of minutes, just go to Kingston. Sky 700, south anchors,
Sky 791 Juliet, roger, runway 29 right. Taxi via hotel, correction, taxi via Alpha in Juliet.
29 right taxi by Alpha and Juliet, Sky 700. Palm Springs Tower is calling Papa Tango. Mike is holding short runway 31 right, Bravo, and ready for departure, close traffic.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, I'm still alive. It's been so busy with work and PhDing and writing book works and stuff. So that's why I didn't find the time, or rather didn't find the mental space to stream. I have been flying, and particularly IFR, in preparation of doing the I ratings, right? Busy in the midst of my training curriculum to get as close to that real-world instrument rating and flight simulator as I possibly can. So trying to pick up the thread rather than just doing all kinds of new refreshing IFR flight training flights, I thought let's just commence the I ratings from the start, the first I rating, and use those as the sole purpose of the next few weeks, just to get that instrument rating, virtual instrument rating and PilotEdge as quickly as possible. So that's my plan. So from now on, I hope from every Monday, or perhaps even multiple times in the week, I will fly, I will stream, and trying to pass all the I ratings currently available on the PilotEdge websites, which really excites me. My gosh. And guys, I've missed you. Pat, good to see you. Alex, well, you will watch the VOD later. That's fine as well. Good. I'm hoping that you're doing well. 733, good to see you all, guys. Marco, Dad, good to see you as well. Thank you for dropping by. Exactly. Scotty, good to see you, Scotty. Yeah, it's been a long time, I know. So part of this stream is also just to give you a bit of an update, because I haven't been completely mentally offline in terms of my flight simulator training. I've been thinking about stuff and doing stuff and making stuff that I will share with you very, very soon. Simple things, for example, a abbreviated checklist. If you've been following me on Twitter, you know about this. The previous flight that I made, the previous stream that I published, where I was doing my first IFR flight from a non-towered airport to another, was very, very interesting. It was interesting because it was challenging, and I made a couple of mistakes, and I was completely mentally overloaded, and I've learned a lot from that single flight, and received a lot of valuable feedback by some of you. Keith, particularly, who always is there to save me, reviewing the video and doing some very, very nice suggestions, but also other fellow pilots here also on my Discord who are very, very kind to just guide me along. And there are a couple of things that I think are worth noticing, also for you guys to catch up on what's going through my mind and what I'd like to practice in the next couple of weeks, trying to pass for the I ratings. First off, a abbreviated checklist. So one of the things which is quite obvious actually, if you remember my original checklist, which consists of 200 plus items, it's a student checklist, which I actually made intended to have a full, complete understanding of everything you need to, pretty much everything. I got 95% of what you need to do from cold and dark to cold and dark, right? From your departure airport to your destination airport. Now, while that is interesting from a student pilot point of thinking, it's not really that practical during flight, especially during IFR, and when it's a new IFR flight and you're juggling with all kinds of new information coming at you when you need to manage the airplane and you're not using the autopilot and blah, 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 to then look at a checklist, browse through 200 items to see where you're at and to see whether you checked all of those items. So suddenly it became very obvious to me that I've actually never learned how to use a checklist. And believe it or not, there's actually a lot of stuff written about that. And also many CFIs, instructors that say, well, we actually need, this is a topic, right? We're teaching our students how to use a checklist. And one of the silly things, I think I mentioned this in a couple of streams before, but it's just interesting, I think, is it's in the name, right? So it's still good to have a flow, but you use the checklist to verify, to check whether you did all your checks. Now, there are some CFIs and pilots out there that say that actually using a checklist interrupts your flows and actually makes your flying unsafe, which is an interesting discussion. In my case, because my flows are not perfect and I'm still forgetting items, I think it's good to work with the checklist. So this is my abbreviated checklist. It's updated a bit, so I will also publish the updated checklist as a PDF on my site, UncertifiedPilot.com. And I've been using this checklist to get those flows going. And I will use this checklist for the I-1 rating today as well. I think that's interesting. Front side is just the normal procedures from start to finish, and the back side is emergency. in the red. So engine failures, engine fires and stuff. Some of this stuff it doesn't really apply to X-Plane, but I'd just like to have a complete, basic, quick. No, I think that is interesting. Hey, Disgraced, who says that checklists make you unsafe? Well, I can send you a link. I can send you a link. But I think, Disgraced, based on what I read, that there's also some misconceptions again about how to use checklists. So I think sometimes when some pilots or even CFIs talk about this as when you are an experienced pilot, you shouldn't use the checklist anymore because it might be unsafe, that perhaps it's also related to unsafe use of the checklist, not proper effective use of the checklist. And that's why those people say don't use the checklist. I'm a really big fan of Jason Miller of the Finer Points of Flying. A great CFI, was also attending the Flight Sim Expo, last Flight Sim Expo. And he's such a methodological, experienced, interested pilot. It's really lovely. I've been chatting with him, and I'm especially keen on how he uses the checklist so diligently during his flights, also with his students. So I'm a big checklist fan, but usually if you look at my previous streams, I was using the checklist almost as a guide. So I was thinking like, okay, I need to start up the engine, or I need to prepare for landing. Let's grab the checklist. And that's actually not the right use. It's better just to get a flow going, do your things, and then grab the checklist and see whether you didn't forget any items. What's also interesting to me is that you should actually put the checklist in front of the primary instruments while you're reading the checklist, so you can look at items and look at your instruments while seeing where you're still stable in stable flight, right? Silly small things that I found interesting. Yeah. Dogs, good to see you. Good Monday indeed. How's it going? From Phoenix. That's awesome. Sounds like the same argument for why seatbelts in cars are unsafe. People not wearing their seatbelts properly. Yeah, kind of, Disgraced. Hope you're doing well. I think I've seen your last video playing the piano, I think. But I'm not sure. So, checklist. Interesting. Other stuff, I made a very fancy that I cannot show you. I will integrate it into my stream, someday. Hey, Keith, good to see you. Grasscore, this will be good. I hope so. Again, I'm not that prepared, so I might fail, actually. Even with this I rating, we'll see you, Keith. But good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Hope the event, the PilotEdge event yesterday went well. I saw many pilots and airplanes scattered across the map. Seemed like a very fun event. And I considered attending, but in the Netherlands here, the event started at 10 o'clock in the evening, so that was a bit late. So, and again, I totally understand that you need to find some kind of time to also serve the European customers. And I think this was one of the better times, but in my case, it didn't just work out. I'm really interested to attend those events at some point. It was fun, no rush. Roger. He's ready to do the yeah, but guys, you know, I love the fact, just the training fact of IFR training. It's the training itself that I really like. And there's a misconception there, obviously, that we talked about already many times, and that is you will never stop learning as a pilot. So that's true, but still there's something in me that regrets the day, silly, but still. When I completed all of my I ratings, then my certifications are done. By the way, that new how is it called, Keith? The new Sky IFR challenges flights are very nice, particularly for that need, I guess. So you can keep challenging yourself with new interesting IFR flights. So that's something that I will definitely take a look at. But I'm really enjoying this whole learning educational bit of it, and it's a bit sad to complete my training curriculum, which is a bit silly, obviously, because I do like to become instrument rated here in the Flight Sim. Anyway, so from now on, no preparatory training flights. We will use the I ratings for training as they are intended. Why is my... Oh, I don't have a notification there on my current stream. You can already move along here to John Wayne. For whoever just gave me that follow, appreciate it, guys. That's a sound that I haven't been hearing that often in the past couple of months. So here we are at John Wayne, but I was finishing a story. So checklist 1, training, yes. So I ratings, we're going to do I ratings only for the next couple of weeks. And I've also made I think, a very nice Excel sheet as a nav log and weight and balance sheet, which was really, really cool, especially just the making of that Excel sheet to understand what the calculations are involved with doing that, which I think is really valuable, and I will share that as well for free on UncertifiedPilot.com to take a look at. So you can put in all your different fixes on your flight plan. It calculates the wind components and stuff, and your fuel calculations, and takes into account temperatures and everything. It's really, really nice, and obviously that's something that ForeFlight already provides you, so it's a bit of a silly exercise, but I really enjoyed it, so I will share that as well. So the Excel sheet, my checklist, yeah, I've been studying lots of IFR, and yeah, I think that's about it. Perhaps if some other things come to mind, I will share those, or if you have any questions about what I've been up to these last couple of months, please do ask. The Sky Hard charters, exactly. 1 new per month. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so yeah, first I rating. Now, what's the first I rating? Well, it's actually pretty basic, at least yeah, in terms of flight duration. Also, it's a very short flight, like Keith puts it. And I guess any other IFR pilot, it's kind of like flying your traffic pattern IFR. So we will depart John Wayne Airport here, and we will actually fly. I don't know whether we're going to have a left-hand traffic pattern or a right-hand traffic pattern. It's not really called a traffic pattern, but in either case, we'll have to see. We're going to fly to the Seal Beach Vortex, most likely. So that's somewhere around... somewhere around there. Fly around 3,000 feet. Once we departed and switched over to SoCal departure, we will be already asked, well, what's your departure request, I guess, or we can mention it ourselves. And we will be vectored kind of like a downwind, on a downwind heading track, along to 0 right or left here, all the way down. We get vectors that will put us just in front of the final approach fix here of the ILS approach. We're going to fly. We need to request the ILS approach here as part of the I-1 rating. And we're going to grab that glide slope, and we're going down and land. And that's it. So our destination airport is John Wayne. So it's a very simple, and again, this first I rating again illustrates also the educational structure of the I ratings. I'm approaching these I ratings kind of like my final check rides, but actually you can use the I ratings as your training curriculum. It's really gradually building up your knowledge and skills and experiences until you gradually do full complex IFR flights. So in my case, I have a bit of I already have a bit of a skill and knowledge here and experience with flying, so I'm hoping that I can notice that during today completing this first I rating, but that's kind of like the idea. So that's about it. Anything else? Well, in terms of weather, we still have a bit of marginal VMC. I think there was an overcast just an hour ago. Also interesting here, currently at John Wayne Airport, if you look at the NOTAMs, it's actually closed, the airport. And this is not simulated, luckily, here at PilotEdge. Don't know what's going on there, but it's interesting. Anyways, John Wayne. Yeah, so in terms of the flight, yeah, it's a very basic flight where I only filed Seal Beach here. So it's going to be our first fix, but also again our last fix, because from Seal Beach here we're going to commence the instrument approach right away. So in terms of charts, I have the instrument approach here, and I have the airport diagram. Weather, we're not going to look at marginal VMC. It's very terminal flight, so I don't really care. And we have our basic scratch pad, and obviously we should start with the crafts tab sheet. yeah, and that's about it. That's about it. So let's get going. Keith, thank you for the donation, buddy. Yeah, I really like to go to Expo. Thank you for supporting that donation goal. I really appreciate it. Again, primarily just your presence here, and also on the Discord, just being so swift with replying to my questions about IFR and VFR. It's I truly appreciate that. But that 10 euros is very much appreciated as well. So again, I'd like to attend Flight Sim Expo next year. I'd like to meet you guys. But yeah, from Amsterdam, it's a bit expensive, so any kind of financial support there is much appreciated. And we have some time, so let's see if I can earn it by showing you my growth mindset here in trying to survive the I ratings. Okay, let's get real. So here we are. Also, yeah, that's another thing. That's what I was mentioning. If you look at my avionics panel, you can see a very interesting change. The GNS 530 is gone. I only have the 430, like my real 430, real sim gear hardware here in my cockpit. Made possible by MiniWebs. Like me and many others, he was a bit frustrated that we only have those 2 GNS devices in our cockpit. We like to be a bit more slant alpha. He's also made a completely slant alpha version of the default 172, which is awesome. Free download on the explain.org website. I'm flying with the 430 because I have the 430 here hardware and my home cockpit here built in. So that's what I'm using. I think that's really, really cool. Hey, UncertifiedPilot, good to see you. Good to see you. All right, we are at Atlantic, very, very basic. I do like to do all my checks here, so let's get going. Cold and dark, parking brakes, those are set. Fire extinguisher, blah, blah, blah. Door is closed, window is closed. ELT is set to auto. Let's pretend flap lever is up and our flaps are also actually up. My mixture is working, throttle is working, my side tech panel is working actually, trim is set, fuel tank set to both, cutoff is in, alternate is in, avionics are off, lights are off except for the beacon, master switch, and ignition switch is off as well. Yeah, that's stuff that I will talk about some later time. I reconfigured my side tech panels here so I can do interesting, not really relevant stuff. Okay, so that's cold and dark. Double check, fuel selector, flaps lever, avionics master, magnetos, off exactly. Let's see how much fuel we have. Well, enough for a IFR traffic pattern, so that's good. I also can hear the gyro spinning there. Avionics on. Transponder is off in VFR, that's good. Flaps down. Let's have a look at our flaps. They go down and they go down in sync, that's good. I can individually turn on my ADF. No need for this, but hey, I can. And I can also turn on my GPS individually. No need for that, but it's just something I tinkered with. Yeah, Keith, I totally agree. It's good work. And for free, explain.org. Works with the rep as well. Had some startup issues, but those are fixed. Where he also put in the Aerosim Gaming airfoils. And those messed up rep and blah, 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 blah. Okay, so database, fine. We do see the deflections of the needles. We have good reception of satellites, so that's fine. Audio panel is good, all fine. Oil pressure, I guess that's right. Fuel is low. What is the airport elevation? I think it's 50 something. 42, 56, yeah, seems good. We are not in sync at all. I think I have this on my, on my yoke. 21 and a bit. Well, I'm gonna expect 19 and a bit as our runway heading. Temperature, blah blah, fuel. These are all off circuit breakers. Yeah. Okay, avionics off and batteries off. Let's double check. Fuel quantity checked, flaps, transponder, avionics, and rev right and tested. Roger. So let's go outside. Walk around. Boom. Yeah, checked. Baggage door closed. Elevators look good, and the rudders and the antennas and all the connecting stuff. Titan is removed. ELT antenna looks secure. Flaps have a wiggle. Also, guys, I'm still very much interested in developing our own 172. Not that this 172 with the rep is bad, but I'm really interested in doing aircraft development and doing all kinds of nice interactions that might be interesting for us as student pilots. Very obvious things that I think, well, are cool. So once I finished all of the I ratings, I will start doing that as well. Starting or continuing that series with Blender and that stuff. Alright, Titan is removed here. Fuel quantity seems good. No contamination, good. Chocks removed. Oil quality is good. Oil quality and quantity is good. Good enough at least. No dents, no stuff. Engine intakes. Filter looks good. No cover. Strut quality is good. The nose wheel, no contamination. Corresponds with our fuel quantity indicator as well. Pitot tube cover removed. Taxi lights, landing lights. Seam intact. Ailerons look good too. There's a wiggle there of the flaps. Chocks removed. Good quality, and there we go. Nice. Hey, Kim, good to see ya. Good to see ya. Yeah, so our Discord group has been growing, which is cool. Also, for all of the Dutch viewers, including those that are actually on my Discord, in November, I believe, don't know the exact dates from top of my mind, is going to be the next Flight Simulator weekend. So that's one of the biggest flight simulator conventions in Europe, which is really, really nice. Yearly event. X-Plane will visit as well in the museum in Lelystad. So if you're Dutch and you'd like to meet up, I'm going to attend there as well, do a talk again about the educational value, potential educational value of flight sim. And we can meet up and chat, which is going to be fun. So mark that in your schedule. Take a look. Flight Simulator weekend. I think that would be cool. As mine. Oh, is that true? Old guy, old fly guy. Okay. Well, that's a good color. Yellow is a good color. Door closed. All right. So briefing once more. So we are currently. Again, guys, I'm just taking my time here and just sharing my thinking here. We could be a bit faster, but I don't care. Atlantic, that's where we are. I'm expecting that we will be taxiing to 20 left, but perhaps because we're going to fly the ILS approach for 20 right, we're going to be assigned 20 right for our departure. I do not know. We'll have to see. In any case, I think in that case we will still be get that taxi to Kilo, so all the way down to there. But then a hold and then a crossover to 20 right at Kilo, and then a departure, something like that. We'll have to see. I don't really mind. Need to pick up weather, blah blah. So we're going to take off. We're going to get instructions, basic headings to Seal Beach. Once we're up already, we're already going to request our vectors to the ILS 20 right approach. It's going to be very, very basic, 3,000 feet. But again, this is still very new to me. So even basic flights, as same with VFR traffic patterns, can still mess you up. So if I fail, I fail. I will do this 5 times if I must. So let's use the I ratings for training rather than only just for check rides or final exams. 3 and 4 November. Ah, thanks for sharing, Kim. That's the link, exactly. Aviodrome. Roger. So that's our briefing. I also like to do a run-up at the midfield run-up. Not that that's that relevant in terms of IFR training, but I just like to be complete. I like that. And that's about it. No need to grab the checklist here. Batteries. Yeah, let's start up the engine. Batteries on. A bit of a throttle there. Parking brakes are still set. Fuel tanks set to both. Very good. Fuel pump on. Mixture in. Positive fuel flow. 1, 2, 3, and cut off. Also put off the iPad there. Very good. No one is walking around. Very good. So clear pop. Mixture full in. Magneto's back to both. Oil pressure is already in the green, 1200. Alternator on, we can see a rise in the M meter. Let's lean for ground. So look at the RPM, there's a dip already. Also interesting, I am running one of the newest, actually the newest version of the wrap. I will talk about this later. Let's just finish the checks first. Yeah, avionics on. Let's go mode C. VFR still 1200. That's good. Let's turn on my GPS. Yeah, we can set some frequencies. For example, ATIS. ATIS is 126.0.
Orange County, John Wayne Information Bravo.
Bravo.
1700 Zulu weather. Wind 030 at 5. Visibility more than 10.
29.
Sky conditions 9,000.
91 or 92.
Broken. Temperature 14. Dew point -4. Altimeter 2992.
Good.
Arriving runways 20 right, 20 left.
Okay. That's set. Very good. ATIS. So how are we going to set up our stuff? In terms of frequencies, let's do comms first. We are connected to PilotEdge, I think. First we need clearance, 118.0. That's already set. And ground, we're on the east side, so 120.8. Alright, that's good. Obviously we need Seal Beach, but we also need the ILS. Let me see if I can show you guys. So we need to go to Seal Beach, 115.7. Most likely, perhaps we're only going to be vectored. We're not going to overfly Seal Beach, so we have to see. 115.7. I could also actually just use the nav2. That might be even better. So let's set the ILS here. 11.75. That's set, and then nav2 we're going to set on 115.7. Oh, it's already set. That's good. And I think we already have a readout. Nav1. Yeah. All right. That's identified in nav2. Looking good. Now, you will not always be able to identify vortex and stuff while you're on the ground, which is interesting. So you need to do that while you are flying. But in this case, yeah, we're pretty nearby, and the scenery is quite flat, so that helps. Okay, so those are set. We can make ourselves. Yeah, it's going to be a little bit of a northwest sterly heading once we take off to Seal Beach, so that might help us already a bit.
10 miles north, full stop landing, and we got information kilo.
Yeah, and what else do we need? We set the Vortec ILS, we have our comm frequencies, that's good. We know what we want to do, so we can just grab our clearance. Okay.
2368 Bravo Lima, Santa Maria Tower, and a right down, runway 30, report Miss Hill.
So we're at Atlantic, we have Bravo. Want to go IFR to John Wayne, which is a bit silly, and for the I-1 rating. John Wayne clearance, good day. Skyhawk Pop Hotel Tango in Mike at Atlantic with Bravo IFR to John Wayne for the I-1 rating, please. Let's see. Did we come through?
PHTAM, John Wayne clearance, goodbye.
I did file my flight plan. This is why you can also, if you have a rental,
57, cross decals at maintains level 240.
if you have a rental airplane, to grab your clearance before you start your engine. So in chance you have to wait, you don't consume all of this, well, all of this fuel.
Okay, PHTIM, clear to John Wayne Airport on departure flight 220, radar vector Soul Beach. Direct, maintain 2000, expect 3000, 10 minutes after departure. Departure frequency 128.1, squawk 6536, and hold to read back, please.
It's busy. Or
Skyx 642,
priority.
turn left, be left turn heading 320. Contact circle approach 124.9er.
Domain Tower, Mooney 665.
Skyx 64 kilo left turn
20 left
heading
at kilo, ready for departure IFR.
310. Contact circle approach 124.9er.
Busy.
Heading 665, Mike, John Wayne Tower. Runway 20 left to kilo, clear for takeoff in 2203.
I think she's gonna ask me when I can do my readback, but
Runway 20 left at kilo, clear for takeoff. 5 Mike.
PHTIM, go ahead.
clear to the John Wayne Airport, heading 220, radar vector Cecile Beach, then direct. Climb to 2, expect 3 after 10, 128.1 for departure, and squawk 6536 for Papa Delta. Anyway.
PHTIM, read back, correct.
Alright, 6536, double check. It's in the transponder. Good. Yeah, this is basic. So 220, that's the heading bug. Seal Beach we have in our nav 2. Yeah, ready to go. Swap to ground. We can swap in the tower. Yeah, let's get this chart. And that was already. Yeah, depends on what runway we're gonna get assigned. Let's put in 119.9.
Correction, Victor 186 as filed. And if you need me to read that routing again, just let me know. Altimeter, correction, maintain 4000, expect 7000,
The gyro, yeah, good one.
Departure frequency 134.2.
Well, 21's not that far off.
3417.
Thanks, Kim.
Alright, 541 Delta Lima, I have the route. Got 4000 on departure. 134.2 for the frequency and squawking 3417. 1 Delta Lima.
King Air 1 Delta Lima, read back, correct.
John Wayne Ground, Sky Papa Hotel Tango Mike at Atlantic with Bravo, ready for taxi to the midfield run-up, please.
Correct, 5364 kilos, SoCal approach, LA altimeter 2997.
I stepped on someone.
Expect to join your approach just outside of Norwa. PHTIM, John Wayne Ground, runway 20 left taxi, Alpha Hotel Charlie Kilo.
20 left Alpha Hotel Charlie Kilo. I'd like to visit the midfield run-up first, if that's okay.
PHTIM, Roger, just advise continuing taxi.
Roger, Papa Delta Mike. Or Wilco.
Good.
So that's done. Checklist. I should have done this already after engine start. Make sure transponder, OBS, GPS. Oh yeah, GPS. Very good. Instruments reject engine gauges, taxi diagrams, surface ins. Yeah. But I already got my taxi instructions here. So that's. I should have actually used the checklist first and then ask taxi, because now the controller expects me to taxi. Now in this case we're a very simple flight, but if we have a longer IFR flight, it should spend some time putting in fixes if I'm slant golf. So in this case I'm just going to go to the midfield run-up, so we get a pace going, and then we can put in Seal Beach and the approach if we like. Actually we don't really need to, but parking brakes released. Brake test looks good. Slow and easy.
Field right downwind, Cessna, November 363.
Don't hit that Skyhawk of the old fly guy. There we go. Step indicator, turn indicator, heading indicator looks good.
Cessna, November 363, Bravo Lima.
We could have already taxied to this point because we're still in the non-movement area. Not a big one, but it's fun to know, I think.
Norwa, turn left heading 290. Maintain 2,000.
No, the winds were not that strong, so no crosswind correction here.
Clear still our runway 25 approach.
How's the sound volume of the ADC, guys? It's a bit difficult for me to set it just right for you guys on the stream because I have my own sound volume on my headset, and for me it's okay. Rather have it a bit more loud than not, but let me know if it's too screamy. I will. It's perfect. Roger, Kim. Thanks. So this is the south run-up. Usually I was doing the run-ups actually at Kilo. Before I did my takeoff. But John Wayne actually has designated run-up areas, and I thought, well, let's make use of those. And again, doing run-ups is actually a bit silly for a flight sim, because why would you like to simulate that? Perhaps cleaning up your spark plugs, that might be a good practice. But to me, flying is not just about learning new stuff or simulating procedures, practicing procedures, but also just the feel of flying. And to me, it makes flying a little bit more realistic and fun for me, so that's why. Here is the midfield run-up. So there we go. Well, the winds are strong enough. I look at the windsock to actually do some crosswind correction. So bit into the wind for cooling. Alrighty, so we can do our check first. Engine oil is already in the green. Temperature, so that's good. Mixture fill in. Let's go to 1800. No uninitiated messages. Everything is still stable. Vacuum is also in the green, and we have a charge. Good. Left mag. That's a really small drop, or perhaps even no drop. That's a new one for me. Talking about practicing run-ups, Tim. What would you do when you don't see a drop? So that's very interesting. Let me first go idle. Let's see if we still have oil pressure. That's good. Vacuum obviously is not in the green. No non-shaded mesh is good. So we don't have.
5364 kilo VOR.
So that means to me that the left or right magnetos are actually not or either the left or the right is not responsive. So I have set it to both, but actually perhaps I'm running only on one set of magnetos.
Clear to land runway 25 Skyhawk 64 kilo.
For an I rating, I should actually just disable this stuff, and I don't know if I can. Yeah, you can only use the hangar when your airplane is on the ground with engines off. Can I? REP has its own system, I think, so it doesn't work through this. I don't think it's a filed block, so I don't think that I shouldn't apply that procedure. Going to 2000 RPM. How do you fix a non-drop? No drop in magneto. Does anyone know? Visit the hangar, I guess. But if you can correct state the issue, I'll fix it. If you can correctly state the issue. Was it an intervention by Keith? It wouldn't surprise me, actually, especially when I'm talking about run-ups not being educational. What's the issue? So again, if I go to 8000 with parking brakes on, this is actually not a safe thing to do because parking brakes are quite unreliable. If I go to the left mag, you can see that the drop, oh, there is the drop. Now it's back and back to right. It seems to be okay now. So I would diagnose the issue that we previously had, that even though my ignition switch was set to both, I was probably only running. No, that's not true. That's not true. That's not true. Because in that case, when if I would then switch to either right or left, I should see a complete drop in RPM. And that's what I didn't see. I have no clue what the issue would be, Keith.
Cross runway 16 left at Charlie. Runway 16 right, clear for takeoff. Wind variable.
That's weird that you didn't. Because if it would be, my first initial response would be that it's either the left magnetos or the right magnetos that were broke, that did not work. So if I set it to both left and right magnetos would be sparking. In reality, only one of those would actually work, but I set it to both, and so I was only running on one set of magnetos. So when I then do the left or right magneto switch, for one switch to either to the left or the right, I would see no difference because it's still that set of magnetos that will be running. But if I would switch it to the other magneto, either the left or the right, then I would see no sparking of the magnetos, and I would see a very significant drop in RPM, which I didn't see either. And that is weird. That's weird. You had the right idea, the symptoms were inconsistent. I failed the right mag. Roger, so you should have seen no drop on one mag. Exactly. Thanks, Keith. I really love this. So, yeah, run-ups can be interesting as well. And that's indeed a failure or an issue that I haven't seen before. So, appreciate it, Keith. Interesting. Also nice that it's a ground-related, taxi-related thing. It's nice. Yeah, it could be a rep thing. Yeah, I think they modeled their own engine system, if I understand sim coders correctly. Anyways, so that's the run-up. I feel comfortable now. Again, we are completely set. Engine is still running, and that's okay. We saw charge, vacuum. There's a checklist for this, right? Flight controls, just you check trim, mixture, RPM, flaps. Flaps? Oh, that's after the run-up. Yeah, I condensed these two. That makes it a bit confusing to get used to. Engine gauges, yeah, okay. So let's just continue the checks here. I would like to check my flight controls. Indeed, to the right, that one goes down, that one goes up, that one goes down, that one goes up. Elevators look good. I also see the trim tab working and my rudders. Very good. Then we set the trim. We're still on the ground, so let's just keep that lean going. And we need to continue our taxi, obviously, to the hold short point, and then we're going to do the checks. Okay, then I was thinking about my flight plan. Was it this one? No, was it this one? No, I think I remember setting some kind of button that pops out the GPS so you guys can see better, but apparently that is not working today. Perhaps that's Keith as well, but I don't think so. Yeah, we're flying to Seal Beach. It's actually quite simple. Let's just not go slant alpha for such a basic flight. So interesting, by the way, that we don't have a reading by right now. We did have earlier. So let's see what happens when we take off. We do have Seal Beach, it seems. But we do have a 2 reading, by the way, not an off reading. So that might be something different. So I'm still confident that this would work. Because it's a nav1, we can actually already set it, which doesn't really help. It's only a mental aid, but to 2-0, what's actually the exact? It's 1906, yes. So this is not good. No, 1906. Oh. Well, yeah. Something like this. Okay, doesn't really matter that much because the ILS is not really sensitive to the OBS. But still interesting or helpful to see. Seal Beach, now we're going to continue 3,000 feet. It's very, very basic. Okay, let's continue our taxi. We still have our COM1 on? No.
Turn right, heading 290. American 1 Delta Lima, contact SoCal departure.
John Wayne Ground, Sky Hotel, Tango Mike at the midfield, run up like to continue our taxi. Alright, I could just mention it, right? I shouldn't request it.
Bravo 1 Delta Lima, sorry, misspoke. Did I already give you a climb?
I think she said just mention when you continue to taxi, but I'm not sure, so I'm just going to wait here.
Delta Lima, thank you. Turn left heading 080, turn Victor 186. Skygate Alpha Papa, contact John Wayne Tower 119.9er.
Don't know if she heard me actually. I think I stepped on someone. Let's just wait for a
Sky
second.
64 Kilo. Taxi to parking via November. Remain this frequency and have a great day.
Parking via November, this frequency, thanks. 64 Kilo.
American 57, continue to descend, estimating 4,000, and upon rollout, the airport will be slightly left of your 12 o'clock and about 18 miles.
John Wayne Tower, good afternoon, Sky.
Okay.
78 Alpha Papa is 4 miles south of the airport, inbound full stop.
Alright, 979 Alpha Papa, John Wayne Tower, inner left dip base, runway 20 left, clear to land, wind 200.
Our runway.
Left base, runway 20 left, clear to land, 20 left, 8 Alpha Papa.
And John Wayne Ground, Sky Hotel, Tango Mike is at the midfield run up like to continue our taxi here to 20 left a kilo.
CHTAM, go ahead.
I will go. Papa Hotel, Tango Mike. Again, I'm not sure whether I should actually request it, but let's be safe rather than sorry. There we go. It's Charlie. Wonderful field, airfield. Or scenery, I should actually say. All the SoCal fields are great, but really love the scenery here.
American 57 here, I'll do this for you.
Also, I think I did not stream that before, but I'm already so used to it, is that the new PilotEdge receiver, not really the receiver, I guess just the plug-in here for X-Plane, and it's not really the plug-in either, it's a server-side upgrade. We now hear those squeaky sounds, dynamic squeaky sounds actually of ATC, of any communication on the radios, which makes it so much more realistic. Really, really cool, rather than opposed to those very crisp telephone-like sounds. Skype kind of lights, Skype quality transmissions. And it's actually based on distance and all kinds of very nerdy, very cool, thorough thinking on PilotEdge's part. What I also like is that Totorico, one of our beloved flight simulator community members, has actually lent a hand there and did some nice upgrades to make that implementation work a bit sooner than planned. So that's nice.
With continued descent, you should be right on.
Here is Kilo.
Where you need to be.
Now takeoff 220, 2000 initial. Do like to set the departure frequency here. Perfect day for flying. Real world weather, by the way. There we go. Don't know why I set it in this angle, but still. Yes, flips down. What are my trim? A bit nose down, I actually prefer. Mixture full in. Again, transponder, everything is set. ATIS, no problem. 108 is ground. We can set it to, well, we're going to set it to tower. Either way, I'm not sure whether we're actually going to be assigned to 0 left. We'll have to see. 119.9. Let's already set the departure frequency, which was 128.1. Yes, so we're going to depart at around 400 feet. We can fly our assigned altitude, which was 220, by the way. And you can already see that going wrong. I set the heading bug already to the ILS heading, but rather set it to this heading, 220. And that was 2,000 initial, then 3,000. Good. Radar vector Seal Beach is tuned in. Going to be kind of northwesterly, I think. So that's fine. And yeah, ready to go. Gyro heading is synced, altimeter is synced. I think we're ready to go. 128.1, yes. Yeah, Keith, I know. Yeah, so, oh yeah, that's true. In either case, if you're gonna get assigned another departure, it would include a crossing or holding short instruction. Yeah, that's true. Okay. That was a call that I didn't quite catch, but I believe there should be a response soon by ADC. So let's just wait. Don't want to step on anyone.
Okay, Alpha Papa taxi to parking via Alpha. Remain this frequency. Have a great day.
Parking via Alpha this frequency and have a great one. 8 Alpha Papa.
John Wayne Tower, Sky Pop Hotel, Tango Mike. Holding short 20 left at Kilo, ready for departure IFR.
Should have maintained 2,700. You have those filled in?
I'm so sorry.
American 20, correction, American 57, confirm you do have the filled in sight. American 57, clear for approach, runway 31 left, and establish final contact.
I actually don't
tower,
want 10 degree flaps.
110.7.
There's something with the engine. It's not strong enough in the current rep version. John Wayne Tower, Sky Pop Hotel, Tango Mike is holding short 20 left at Kilo, ready for departure IFR. If I may.
PHJM, John Wayne Tower, wind 200 at 6, runway 20 left to Kilo, clear for takeoff.
Clear for takeoff, 20 left at Kilo, Papa Hotel, Tango Mike. Good. Always very important to mention the Kilo as well. It's actually strictly an intersection departure. We're not using the full runway. Don't know why actually. Landing lights on, strobe lights on, mixture full in. Should have looked at the checklist here. So yeah, you can tell that it's not part of my rhythm. Alright, aligned, makes sense with our heading indicator, full power. Engine is in the greenish. Our engine is looking good. Airspeed is alive. 40. And 50. This is such a cool hobby. And there we go. Ah, there are some winds. There's the ILS. That's good to see.
Correct the I-6.
Now let's see if we can
5.4.
see if we can pass this first I rating, guys. Hard to
maintain 4,000. Departure frequency 128. Correction. Departure frequency is 125.2. Squawk 6430.
Past our 400 feet mark.
Palm Springs Tower, America 57 on short line over.
220, 2,000 feet initial.
America 57, Palm
Waiting
Tower,
for that switch to departure.
Wind variable at 6.
Clear to land, America 57, 31 left.
Clear to John Wayne, Seal Beach 8 departure, Seal Beach direct, from via the SID, accept, maintain 4,000. Departure frequency 25.2, squawk 64.
That's more westerly, okay.
Sky off onto Julia Papa.
Sky 2 Julia Papa, reback direct. I have request for the I-6.
It's for the I-6, yes.
Again, 2,000 is our ceiling, our sign ceiling.
541 Delta Lima SoCal approach Ontario, altimeter 2998. Do you have approach request into Chino?
Yeah, Keith. So again, I'm not impressed with the RPMs here.
01 Delta Lima, depart Pomona, VOR, heading 095, vector ILS runway 26 right approach, and to maintain 5,000.
220 still, 2,000 feet, 500 feet to go.
PHTIM, contact SoCal departure.
Departure, Papa Hotel Mike. Switch. SoCal departure, Sky Papa Hotel Tango Mike is climbing through 1,700 for 2,000 and 220 on the heading.
American 1357, exit left on
Yeah,
Lima, taxi
I
to
should listen
Taxi
first.
via
That's not good.
Whiskey. Remain this frequency, have a safe flight.
It's actually worth a fail, to be honest. But there's 2000.
PHTAM, so departure, radar contact, on maintain 3000.
3000 above Delta Mike.
Southwest 1621, Lumber clearance, clear to San Francisco International Airport, Padre 2 departure, IK transition, as filed. Maintain, correction, climb via SID.
So far, so good.
Level 3801 minutes after departure.
Again, we're climbing.
Departure frequency.
Gyro check, altimeter still good. Attitude indicator, speed, temperature, fuel quantity is good. EGT is goodish. Temperature is good. Pressure, vacuum amps, slides, landing off. And we're ready to go. Still 220 on the heading. Still waiting for radar vectors to Seal Beach. Ah, Roger Keith. I heard Steve Okunivo do that, the heading, and I thought, oh, that makes sense because it's assigned to you, the heading. Also, with when you're flying a SID, you also mentioned that you're on a particular SID when you change over to departure. That was my reasoning for also mentioning my assigned heading. There's 3,000, 200 feet to go. I expected to have already a right turn, to be honest, but again, I'm not impressed by the power. Full in throttle now. Push down. We're gonna fly this by hand. Thanks for the follow, Chriso. Thanks, appreciate it. Keep my power in. We filed 105 knots true airspeed, so we should stay within a particular range. Okay, let's release the yoke pressure. Let's zoom out for some situational awareness here.
PHAM, turn right, heading 010, see approach request.
Right to 010. I would like to get vectors for the ILS 20 right approach, please.
PHAM, head request.
Alright. There's our turn, standard rate turn. Interesting. 010. Already, well, not that far off of the coast, but should actually set my heading indicator as a reminder. So, if you think about this just a bit, this current vector heading assigned by ADC is pretty much the inverse of our departure runway heading. So it's kind of like flying our downwind leg. Now we're at 3,000, we can already lean also a bit. About 3,000 MSL, it's usually that altitude if I'm correct. And because we're now established on a new stable way, let's do a check again. So north, I'm looking at my gyro here, gyro heading indicator synced, altimeter is still good, attitude blah blah blah, speed is okay-ish, 8 degrees, no pitot heat, no moist. Quantity is good, EGT is goodish. Can be better. Temps are good, pressure is good, vacuum is good, ammeter is good, circuit breakers, well, they're not interactive, but let's pretend that they are good. Lights, we don't need, pitot heat, we don't need, everything is set. What is up next? We have a vector, we have Seal Beach, but I guess we're going to skip that. So I think we're going to be flying. If you look at the GPS, I've set a screen there that just pops out the GPS so you guys can look. I will fix that for the next stream. Lost my train of thought. What did I I don't know what I wanted to say. Well, altimeter, we're still Bravo. We can listen to COM2 once more.
County, John Wayne information Charlie.
Charlie, we already have Charlie.
100 Zulu weather. Wind 030 at 5. Visibility more than 10.
030 at 5.
Sky conditions 9,900 broken. Temperature 14. Dew point -4. Altimeter 2992.
Yeah, 92. Okay, still set. That's good. Brief the approach, not a bad idea. That's very true. Brief the approach, he said. Approach. So there we go. Now we have requested vectors. Usually you will get assigned vectors if you don't fancy any complete or partial approach. Vectors is actually pretty basic, which suits a first I rating. And usually what they do, or actually always what they do, I guess, is just tuck you right in front, or just a little bit in front to give you some room, of the final approach fix. The waypoint on the glide, lateral glide slope thing, where you're just about to capture the glide slope. So you have some time to capture it and establish yourself. It's almost like they are vectoring you just on for final, you could say, in VFR terms. So in this case, we're not going to fly the hold here at the north, that stuff. But we are interested in the minimum heights here. We're going to capture the glide slope, so a gradual descent with a step-down approach, with a non-precision approach where we don't have an ILS but only a localizer or a VOR. We need to be a little bit more multitasky to get down. But in this case, we can capture the ILS. Well, Lemon, that Harry Potter-like symbol there, the lightning strike, or whatever it's called, that's going to be the final approach fix, I believe. Also mentioned here in the profile view. So we're going to be assigned, I guess, a vector that brings us just right in front of that, on an altitude of around 2,200 or 3,000 if we're a little bit early. So we can capture the glide slope, I think.
Now make a right turn, be a right turn.
Hey Josh, good to see you. Didn't catch you. And Ryan, good to see you as well. Missed you guys.
That's correct.
255 is the decision height, 255 feet.
KSTAM, so heading 020.
020 for pop testing. That sounds like a better downwind to me, given our departure runway.
Sky 122 Julia Papa Los Angeles Tower 12606 runway 2.
I don't like my fuel flow wiggling needle there, by the way. Yes. So all of the step downs, I think we're not really that concerned with. Always familiarize yourself with the different waypoint names, so when the ATC uses that, you know what they are referring to. It also applies to your en route chunk, obviously. Know your waypoints, know your vortex, which is pretty hard in my case.
Mike, you are 3.5 miles from NASCON, turn right heading 210.
Yeah, and 255 MSL. And then we have our missed approach. So in case in this VMC we suddenly have IMC, which can happen in X-Plane, unfortunately. Sudden IMC out of nowhere, which totally frustrates me. And XMVIR should fix, and everyone should fix. X-Plane should actually fix. Let's keep on our landing light, by the way, if we're on downwind. 255. Now that's pretty much the brief. There, I still feel that I don't have a real good flow. In case of a missed approach, straight ahead.
1621, number ground, runway 27.
3,000 feet.
Correction, you're looking for push. Push on the Bravo is approved.
196, yes, actually just
you can, whenever you're ready for taxi, I don't have any
basic. I'm not going to expect a missed approach here today, but What I also find interesting
Roger.
is that
01 Delta Lima to maintain
even though we're at the
3000
north
Southwest
side,
and
northwest side
contact Chino Tower
of John Wayne,
195.
we don't have a read of the ILS. That's because our heading, actually, the pointing, the heading that we're pointing to with our Skyhawk matters in terms of GPS reception, if I believe correct. We did this in a previous stream.
QSTAM for heading 040.
040 for Papa Tango Mike. For Papa.
So 2 Julia Papa, contact SoCal departure.
I still have fond memories of flying the Lancer of Keith in a rain cloud and keeping altitudes as best as I can. Man, this is a breeze. That was so much fun, Keith. That was impressive. You know, he was on top of his game. That was really inspirational. There are levels beyond the Super Saiyan. Oh man. So yeah, we can always improve ourselves.
122 Julia Papa, SoCal departure, radar contact.
Even in the flight sim. I also thought that I heard Jason Miller on the PilotEdge radio yesterday. He sounded just like him, but I guess I'm wrong, but doing the event, joining the event. Baron, yeah, perhaps, I'm not sure. First, I'm going to develop our own Student 172. I really like to do a little bit more I like to do aircraft development for X-Plane, just for fun, and to get more intimately, more knowledgeable of the Skyhawk, the structural systems of the Skyhawk. Ah, there's the read there of the GPS, or the ILS. First complete my I ratings, then aircraft development, and in parallel, I'd like to do some new content actually for Flight Sim that I'm working on. So hopefully I can surprise you with some interesting stuff. Alright, I should do it. 030, you can see gyro drift.
Radar vectors.
We're not flying 040.
64, Sill Beach.
Okay, altimeter to 902. We have Charlie. Temperature still no moist. Quantity is good. EGT is goodish. Fuel flow. Temps. Press is good. Vacuum is good. Ammeter is good. Circuit breakers. Blah 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 blah. Lights are on. Mixture is good for 3000. Everything is set. What are we doing? We're flying a vector, and we are expecting to get vectors to 20 right. We have already Seal Beach is already gone. Nav 1 is the ILS. That's good. We know our. I should have noticed from the top of my mind, which I don't. 255, 255 or.
Okay, 64 kilo, read back correct, expect runway 25.
No, I should not round it off, just 255. 255 is our decision height, decision altitude. And I guess my next vector is going to be our base lag. And it's not going to be a straight 90-degree base lag, but they like us just to give us a 40, 30, sometimes 20-degree kind of angle onto the glide slope, which is a nice turn to capture it. So in a way, you could say that the I-1 rating is actually a guided, scaffolded, instructed traffic pattern. We're now flying a downwind leg, so 080, Papa Delta Mike. So now we're turning around. Not completely, obviously. Let's see what happens.
1621 Lumber Tower, wind 2005.
Exactly, Keith. AC Singh, saw your old GTA videos and finally watching your live. Awesome. Now guys, I'm really focused on doing this exam, so I'm not that into the chat. I'm so glad to see you guys and doing streams again, but I'm focusing. Watch my altitude there.
PHTA turn right heading 170. And your 3 miles from Snake, maintain 3000 till established localizer, cleared ILS runway 20 right approach.
170 for the heading, 3000 is still established and cleared for the 20 right approach. ILS 20 right approach, probably that Mike. 170. There are a couple of things that happened there that I'm not really happy with on my part. And that is that I was listening and flying at the same time. First fly the airplane. Keith, should I follow up on the instruction first and then communicate? I guess so. That's the scheme. Or should I first reply and then do the turning? Not at the same time, obviously, but what's the sequence? I guess follow up the instructions first and then reply, right? So 170. So again, if you look at the heading indicator, this is our heading, our runway, right? So this is a very nice angle that we're going to capture the ILS here. We're at 3000. We're still underneath the glide slope. There comes the lateral localizer bit of the ILS slowly creeping in. So it's almost like, yeah, I don't know how to say.
Maintain 2500 till established and at limit contact Charlie Tower 126.8.
2500 until established, and then we switch over to tower power. Okay, I'm not going to reduce my RPM, but keep my speed up. Something I learned from Keith in the lands there, especially at bigger airports. Let's see on what time we need to turn. Let's turn now. 19er and a bit. Come on, let's go down. Good. So we've captured the localizer. Now I'm start the turn, and while you're entering the turn, read back. Roger, Keith. Did she say that I should switch over the tower once I captured the localizer? Or whether I captured the approach? Or established on the approach? I think the latter, which makes sense, because usually you switch over the tower when you fly over the final approach fix.
November, Charlie, Sierra, Alpha, cross runway 25.
2500. There comes the glide slope, captured. Now, first, I'm not going to switch over the tower just yet. Let's first stabilize this beauty. Alright, no flaps, no stuff, just stabilize. Roger, switch to tower.
Alpha 5, taxi to transient parking.
John Wayne Tower, Sky Papa Delta Tango Mike on the ILS 20 right approach.
PHTA John Wayne Tower 12006, runway 20 right, clear to land.
Clear land 20 right, Papa Delta Tango Mike. Yay!
Mooney 5 Mike, taxi to Barcadia Alpha, remain this frequency passed by the I-4. Correction.
Now, let's just not look outside, but focus on the
this frequency, taxi to parking.
instruments
and,
here.
Thanks very much. 5 Mike.
Yeah, I got you, Keith. Thanks. We're a bit above the glide slope, which is better than beneath. Also, altimeter is set. Mixture should have been in. Should have done that already before I hit the final approach fix in terms of checks. So again, I'm not on top of my game. Also need to remind myself of the decision altitude, 255, even though we got visuals. Landing lights on, everything is on. That's good. Still keep our speed up to keep up with the jets. Well, jets are going a bit faster than us, but the idea is to expedite. And you can imagine if, as in a controller, if you have a Skyhawk going 60 knots versus a 737 or a 777, that AC is not happy with you. Usually, just they explicitly say to you, "Keep up your speed, Mr. Post." All right, 1,000 feet to go for our decision altitude. Still going strong, I think. So at around 500 feet above the decision altitude, I think I will set my first flap. And I should capture my localizer here. It's getting more sensitive. Going down a bit more, Tim. Alright, 500 feet-ish to go. Delta. So let's return. Now this is always a bit of a tricky part. Now once I turn on my flaps, I will immediately get off of the... Come on, you're not focusing. There we go. First notch of flaps. Boom. Look at the glide slope. That's what I mean. Okay, good. Let's go stable RPM. That's also good. So 1800, don't touch it. 200 feet to go. Still only looking at my instruments here. White band. 20 degrees of flaps. Just use that to capture the glide slope again. 100 feet to go.
364 kilo, holding short of runway 25.
So around here, I'm going to look outside. Yeah, there's the runway. You have a visual. So continue. My speed is not good.
Okay, 5364
And again, this is, there are so many things. More power. More power. Okay. Full flaps. Come on, Tim. Trim, stabilize. This was not a fully stabilized. I did better than last time, but it can be so much more improved. Exactly, skipjack. And that's one of the things that I'd like to build into our own little 172. Including much more. Okay, let's focus. 2-0 right, we're back, guys. My first I rating. Let's see if I can nail this landing. Whoa, not with Trek IR, I guess.
Level 1621 Los Angeles Center, climb and maintain flight level 230.
Not bad. We are on the runway, flaps up. Also nice to get off right away. Not gonna return to Atlantic, let's just get off to the right here. There we go. We are at hotel. Boom, let's taxi to somewhere. Back to 1000, that's good. Flaps are up, mixture back, landing lights off, strobe lights off. Anything else? Oh my gosh, is he going to grab the checklist? I should have done this also during the flight. Flaps, mixture, radio. Pitot heat is off, lights as required, taxi diagram. Yeah, don't mind. I don't know. We know what we're doing. Okay. Yeah. And John Wayne Tower, Sky Pop Hotel Tango Mike is clear of 20 right at hotel. Taxi to the ramp here in front of us. Did I pass? Did I pass?
TAM, taxi straight ahead to parking. Remain this frequency, pass for the I-1.
Remain on this frequency and taxiing straight ahead. Thanks for the pass. Pop Hotel Tango Mike. Yes! First rating in the pocket, guys. I've been... Well, dreaming is a strong word, but I've been envisioning a day where I would commence my I rating training. Also my actual check rides. And finally, that day has arrived. I'm so happy, even though it's quite a basic I rating. It's just the entire preparation and the fun we had in the previous streams, which makes the I ratings also a bit more precious, to be honest. Rather than just quick and dirty checks to get some acknowledgements.
About a 030 heading. Clear direct Still Beach. Cross Still Beach at 4000. Cleared I left runway 20 right approach.
Yeah, Keith, that's true. That's true. I didn't like that ramp spot, but I should have actually done that. Just to straight ahead and park. Okay, so here we are. Let's turn off our transponder and turn it back to VFR, so that once as I I had times where I forgot to turn off my transponder and kept my transponder code in, and I turn on my avionics and I was immediately transmitting that old transponder code. Don't know if that's something that happens in the real world as well, because it seems very well, not handy, but anyways, that's off. I can now individually turn off my radio stacks. No use, but I just like flipping switches. Avionics off. Let's check for the magnetos. Those seem to work, so that seems that it's reliable. Magnetos still work. Magnetos off. Batteries off. Parking brakes sets. Tanks to the left. That's an extremely downward trim. Door open. Let's do our post-flight toggle. No tie downs, but I do like the chocks. Boom! There we are. First I rating. Thanks, Dad. I have that same transponder in the Lancer. It does remember the code across power cycles. Okay. So yeah, that's why I just reset it to VFR. Or turn it off first and then turn it to VFR. That was the reasoning. That was really, really fun. So, debriefs. Debriefs. What do we have, guys? What should I improve on? Okay, well, first checklist. So this is nice. I could tell that just making the checklist, the items were pretty much in my mind. I'm also pleased by the fact that once I'm in cruise and also in climb, I checked my heading indicator, so I corrected for that. Could have been perhaps a bit more often, but that was good. But there was plenty of time during my downwind leg where I could have actually also grabbed the checklist. And I didn't. So I didn't use the checklist at all, only on the ground. That's something that that I like to improve on. So that's a first. ATC was perfect, I think. Yeah, in terms of the approach brief, that was also part of the downwind leg. That could have been a bit more structured. To be honest, I wasn't really planning to do the approach brief because I knew that just the vectors and just capturing the glide slope would be very, very, very basic. But then I would have forgotten to review the decision height and all that other stuff. So I should be a lot more systematic with reviewing the approach. And not just by randomly looking at different numbers and stuff, but actually have a flow from top to bottom. So also the frequencies. And then ending at the decision height here. Still though, the whole capturing the approach went pretty well. I did feel that my last chunk, the short final bit, was a bit unstabilized. We're going to have a look in the flight recorder soon with the flaps and stuff. But I was aware of the decision height. Could have counted down a bit more. So once I was 500 feet away from my minimum, from my decision altitude, I could have already counted down. So 400 feet to go, 300 feet to go. And not only that, but it's even better to say 400 for 255, 300 for 255, 200. So you keep reminding yourself of the actual decision altitude or minimum decision height. But those are tiny things, but I do like to improve upon that. So I was a bit scattered, but it was much better than the last stream, I think. Keith, can you come up in the instruction room? I'd love to. Yeah, but I do have Discord here, but I don't have all the password and accounts, and it would be a great opportunity, Keith, if you could now come on and just give feedback. That would be so cool. Let me see if I can make that happen. I don't think so. I don't even know if I have Discord. Because that was the whole idea, obviously, so that experienced guys, experienced pilots, instructors, let alone the Keith, can jump on stream to give advice for free, which is awesome. Just 1 sec, it's downloading updates. I do have Discord here, but I think I don't have it set up with my account, and I've got my passwords elsewhere, and it's downloading. Yeah, come on. Reloading, starting. I think we're not going to be successful, and we're not. I will fix that also, Keith, in case you are willing to jump in with our with my next tries on the I ratings, because that would be awesome to chat with you. Or I can just talk to you over the peer radio. That's interesting. Oh, that's the Keith from the heavens, I think. Let's see. Batteries on.
Want to contact ground for taxi?
Shall I switch over to what frequency?
Contact at ground, Hotel Charlie.
What frequency do you like me to switch to, Keith?
364 Kilo, fly heading.
Or it doesn't really matter.
905. I'll be vector for the coverage course. Expect to join outside of mid. Just going to maintain.
I would love to get some feedback here.
3000.
123.45. That makes sense. 123.45. 123.45.
2 Julia Papa, say altitude.
All right. I'm there.
Hey, Tim.
Hey, Keith.
How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm so glad that you're here on the stream. And I'm looking forward to what feedback you might have, or tips to improve, or whatever you notice that I can make a topic of study for my next I rating.
Okay. I think you did really well. You don't have, there isn't too much. I think you dodged a bullet because she vectored you so nicely to the final approach fix. It covered up an issue you might have had if you had been further out on the approach when she had you join the localizer. So let's assume she had you join a little bit further out, and she said maintain 3,000 until established, then cleared for the ILS. When would you leave 3,000, and what altitude would you descend to?
I think I don't quite get what you're saying here. I would expect then that if I would capture or see the needle come in, that I could then establish myself on the glide slope and then continue with the glide slope down. But I don't think that's what you are suggesting, right? I'm not quite clear.
There are days when the glide slope is not going to comply with the minimum step-down altitudes. So at LAX, for example, there are step-downs that go out for like 30 or 40 miles, and on a hot day, I think it's on a hot day, the glide slope is actually well below the published step-down altitude. So if you're following the glide slope from a long way out, you'll actually bust the step-down altitudes outside of the final approach fix. So you need to make sure that you're complying with the step-downs if you're outside the final approach fix, which leads to the question, where were you on the final approach course? And you're not going to know that unless you either have GPS, EME, or you were paying attention to the radials from Seal Beach. And it appeared to me you had just had a random radial dialed in on Seal Beach. You weren't aware of what radial you were on for Seal Beach at any point during the flight.
Absolutely right. That's a very interesting point. Yeah, so I was just being casual here, and I thought, well, I'm just going to get vectored, and then I'm going to capture the glide slope, and that's it. But obviously, looking at the approach plate, that's where the radials were for Seal Beach. So I was only concerned, in my mind, with that first initial departure, like getting to Seal Beach, and from then onwards, getting vectored to the ILS. But I wasn't aware of that potential issue. So that's a very, very good point. Interesting.
Yep. That's a big one. Yeah, but again, you dodged the bullet because she had you join.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
But it didn't end up being an issue. But yeah, you want to have good awareness as to where you're joining the localizer relative to the final approach fix, and because you don't. Am I wrong, or do you not have DME in this airplane?
Yeah, that's true, and which is a bit of a bummer. And I obviously can just set in fixes with the GNS, but that's not the same as you. I'm already. Suggesting to MiniWebs that he could put in the DME here on the right panel. That would be great for my slant alpha kind of training. So yeah, you're right.
Okay, very good. One last point is, even though she had you join so closely, you really want to do a cross-check every single time at the final approach fix to make sure the altimeter is accurate, because the altimeter is going to be the thing that either makes you live or die in IMC when you fly these approaches down to minimums. So you have got to verify that when the glide slope is is centered, that your altimeter is reading something very, very close to 2200. And again, so in that case, if for no other reason, that would be a great time to have that 076 radial dialed in on Seal Beach, regardless of where she has you join. So make sure you're identifying what the altitude of the glide slope is at the glide slope intercept point. In this case, it's coincident. It's 2200. But in some cases, the glide slope intercept point is a little bit further out and outside of the final approach fix, in which case you can use the number above the Maltese cross. That's the number which you're actually looking for in the altimeter at the time you cross the final approach fix.
That's a great tip. And now that you said it, I do remember also with the King's School stuff and all of the videos, I believe also with the real-world IFR videos of PilotEdge, that this is mentioned as well. And this is not part of my procedural thinking when I'm flying. That's a great tip. Very, very important, obviously, because a slight deviation of or not properly set altimeter can make really it's a difference between life and death with obstacles on the glide slope, right? So that's I totally get that. Good point.
Yeah. If you, let's say the altimeter ends up being 150 feet off, and then you happen to fly 150 feet low, you could, no kidding, actually hit something when you think you're in good shape. So just be careful of that.
Awesome tips. I really appreciate your feedback, Keith. This is so cool on stream. My gosh. Again, thanks. Yeah, really looking forward to the I2. Any tips for the I2 or things for ground school study that you might think, well, that's particularly relevant for the I2?
Let me see. No, you've covered it already. Maybe a more thorough approach for you. Don't forget to look at the notes. I don't think you looked at the notes at all, and those notes can be important because they can either raise or lower the minimums. For example, the 2,400-foot RVR could be reduced on this approach down to 1,800 if you have the correct equipment. So just don't skip the notes. No, otherwise it's a fairly easy leap from the I-1 to the I-2. It's a pretty gradual step. So I think I don't think you need to do tons and tons of study prior to the I-2.
Roger. One final question, if I may. What kind of approach briefing flow do you have? Am I right that you're going from the top to the bottom, or what kind of how do you go about this, doing a approach briefing?
Yeah, it is top to bottom. For me, I double check the frequency, that the final approach course is in there, that I understand how much runway there will be for landing. I go through the notes. I do brief the mist. I'm not really disciplined on when I brief the mist. If you draw like a Z shape starting at the very top of the plate, you do a Z, so it's on the top left, you go from left to right, and then you follow diagonally down to the airport diagram, and then finish off the Z by going left to right at the bottom.
Gotcha.
Basically just draw a Z, and that's about the order that I'll draw it in. And again, as you're looking at that vertical profile, you can cross-check it with the top-down view and really be able to articulate, okay, if we join outside of Hookham, that would have been a good example. There's only 2.2 miles between Lemon and Hookham. So there's a good chance they'll actually have you join outside of Hookham. And if they say maintain 3,000 till established, then that Hookham restriction is still in play. And you can't just, well, honestly, you probably could just follow the glide slope and be in good shape. But just be aware of that step down. You are on the hook for those step downs. If you have time to look at the LAX approach plate, you'll see what I'm talking about. There's more pilot deviations logged for the ILS for 25 left for LAX than any other airport because of the glide slope goes out so far, and it doesn't coincide with the step downs once you go out too far. So it's a bit of a mess. Otherwise, that's about it.
Great point. Great point. Oh man, I'm excited. Cannot wait to start the I2. Again, Keith, thanks for your time and your feedback. I really, really appreciate it. Have a great day, sir.
My pleasure, man. Congrats on the I-1 too.
Yeah, so happy. Ha. Okay, so good points. And again, this was stressed in the King's Schools videos, and yeah, the altimeter sync moment at your final approach fix is crucial, especially when you're completely in IMC. Small differences in the altimeter or not set altimeter can really make the difference between life or death, especially when you're coming down. It's getting more sensitive, so that's really, really important. I am curious, just before we sign off, KLX, the 2-5 left approach that Keith was mentioning, just to have an idea. There you go. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Yeah, so a lot of step downs. Yeah, so this is a great misconception that I had, or blind spot, that I was only focused on the final approach fix. Like, okay, we're going to get vectors. Like I said when we were flying on the downwind leg, like, yeah, we're going to get vectors to the just in front of the final approach fix. So from that point on, in terms of the profile here, that's the chunk that I'm interested in, from the final approach fix to the runway. But and in this case it worked out, but it might be so that we're going to get vectored somewhere around farther ahead here, and then we need to still take into account all of these step downs while we are waiting for that capture on the ILS. And yeah, especially with these kinds of ILS approaches like here on LAX, where you have multiple step downs far ahead or far away from the airport, yeah, that becomes a more greater risk. I get that point. So interesting. So cool. All right. So pleased. I'm going to rechew on this later. Finally, I'd like to see my unstable approach here. And I do like to... yeah, we're going to see me fly now with a pitot tube cover on and wheel chocks, but... do I want to save this? No. Let's have a look. There we go. Yeah, so here I already set 20 degrees. So you can see my speed here. So this is not good. This is too slow for me. So I was fixating on the instrument and not really flying the airplane here. That's what happened. Here I already became aware again. But this is a bit too slow for me. Now, one of the things that I could have done, and I believe that Jason Miller and many other CFIs mentioned it as well, know your airplane in terms of your RPM. So I know that around 1700, 1800 RPM, I get a pretty decent descent with flaps. So set the RPM and then keep your descent going and just focus on this stuff. Always check, obviously, with your primaries. But in this case, I was doing too many things at the same time. Yeah, and here I focused and on the runway. Yeah. Which was a pretty decent landing. Let's have a closer look here. A bit crabbed that I didn't correct for, I believe. Also, I wasn't really properly trimmed, I think. But main wheels first. And then the nose wheel, so... good enough. Good enough. Now, this is always the challenge. I guess I'm not even going to even dare to stop the flight recorder here, because it's buggy and we will get burned up or we explode back onto the ramp. Oh yeah, that was obviously a thing. I didn't taxi to straight ahead here into the ramp, but to my spot here. Not a biggie, but yeah, it is worth noticing. Let's look at the chat. Yeah, sorry guys, I was so busy chatting with Keith. I had an F2 glide slope fail the other day. It failed right to the center with no flag to indicate. Oh my gosh, Ryan. Yeah, things can break on you, which also with the rep here I set on failures, so we might experience some failures as well during our I ratings. Talking about lost comms and stuff. It's going to be interesting. But man, something else just start to move. I nudged the stick to get it to stop. Roger, disgraced. Yeah, could very well be correct. Good stuff. More discipline about the aircraft state. Holding altitude more precisely instead of letting it drift back and forth 100 feet or more. Yeah, disgrace, that's true. That's true. Yeah, so I could still be a little bit more precise with my altitudes. Still, I'm not really that not pleased, but yeah, I can obviously improve upon that. Yeah, that's about it. One last thing. my logbook. What did we do actually today? Yeah, it's going to be a short flight, but 27th of August, not thermal. KSNA to KSNA. Duration, well, let's say 15. 1 day landing. Distance 15, I don't care. Solo, instruments, cross country, no. Remarks, got my I-1 rating. Happy. It's actually quite nice to make these kinds of silly small notes. If I look back to my cat ratings and stuff, it's just fun to have a little bit of a sense of how I felt when I completed those cat ratings. Keeping a logbook is good, even for us as sim pilots, I think. Okay, guys, so that completes today's flight since a very long time. So glad to see you all here, and again, special thanks to Keith for his feedback and suggestions. My personal flight instructor. It's really, really great, and so much to learn and improve on still. And again, for all of you guys here joining in the chat, yeah, during these I ratings, I don't have that much time just to chat with you. Perhaps with the next upcoming flights, I do have a little bit more time because we have a little bit more of an en route duration, flight duration there. In this case, I was very focused, also brushing off my IFR skills here. So I apologize for not being that attentive to the chat, but I really, really appreciate you guys being here. There's Grace, the Ryan, and Kim, obviously. Josh, also thank you for dropping in. Thanks for the acknowledgements there. Hope you are doing well, buddy. Thanks, Disgraced. You too, take care. And yeah, I don't know when I'm going to stream next. Perhaps already this week. I'm still busy, but Mondays at 17:30 Zulu time. That's always the standard time from now on, but I'd like to keep that pace going and complete my I-ratings, so perhaps even a bit more. In either case, follow me on Twitter or Discord or whatever. That's where I will announce my flights, and you can jump in aboard once I embark on my next I-rating. Very much fun. Again, guys, thank you for joining in, and as always, happy flights and blue skies. See ya. Palm Springs Tower, Skyline, Fort Mill, Tango, Mike is 10 miles north of the airport at 3,000. Information X-ray, for a full stop, and then in 1-3 left against Maple.
Pablo Delta Tango, India Mike, Palm Springs Tower, squawk 6250.
6250.
Pablo Delta Tango, India Mike, Palm Springs altimeter is 2985, radar contact about 10 miles west of Palm Springs, VOR. Presently landing runway 31, you're requesting straight in for 13.
That's available, yes please.
Remember, correction, Papa Delta India Mike, make straight in runway 13 left and clear to land. Wind is 0905.
Clear to land, runway 3 left, Papa Delta India Mike, thanks.
Palm Springs clearance, plus 4658 is type BC12 slant call, request clearance to Vegas S-file.
Call is 4658, Palm Springs clearance. Good afternoon, unable to give you S-file, I'll be forward. Cloud 4658 is cleared to the Las Vegas Airport. VFI Cathedral 1 departure procedure to Palm Springs. Victor 370 to 29 Palms. Victor 538. Cresso. Join the Cresso 311. Maintain 7,000. Expect flight level 2405 minutes after departure. Departure frequency 126.7, squawk 6316.
4658 is cleared to Vegas via Cathedral 1, Palm Springs, Victor 37029, Palms, Victor 538, Cresso 3, initially climb 7,000, expected for 025, departure 167, squawk 6316 plus 467.
Plus 4658, feedback is correct. Tango Mike, taxi to ramp, yeah, go ahead.
Taxiing to the ramp,
Ontario Tower, Cessna 227 Charlie Alpha, approximately 4 miles to the west, inbound to land.
27 Charlie Alpha, roger, inner left traffic, left downwind runway 26, left report base.
Enter left downwind 26 left and report your base, 227 Charlie.
Charlie Tower, United 242, on the visual for 20 right, military, right to start.
United 242 Jaway Tower, runway 20 right, clear to land, wind 170, number 3.
Clear to land, right,
Here 520 Yankee Kilo Palomar Tower, runway 24, clear to land, wind at